Uh, so in every Tuesday, every week on Tuesday, we are doing roundtable discussion. So today's topic is round map to research grant, funding agency proposal writing and reviewer expectations. Today, we'll having a resource person, Dr. Prakash Halami, sir, scientist, CFTRI, and he will discuss about the research grant as well as the how to write the proposal writing as well as the what are the expectation of reviewer, right? Last week also we had the same topic. So yes, all of you, you can listen carefully, and if you have any question and suggestion regarding the research grant, you may discuss with sir. Sir, yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Today's
Good evening, sir.
Upasana, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Basically, today's seminar is the follow-up of last week's
Yes, sir.
roundtable discussion, and then that's why the title is the same. So I will go
Okay,
to
okay.
sharing my PPT, which can be much easier for you people to understand. You can see my PPT, right?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Wonderful. Yeah. So the title is Roadmap to Research Grant Funding Agency, Proposal Writing and Reviewer Expectation. And this is what actually the topic we are deliberating from last 1 week. And if we see carefully, this title has three different components. One is the funding, which most of you people are know, those who are doing PhD and faculty members and senior members also. Proposal writing, of course, depend on the funding agency. The format will be almost the same or the similar. We have very few changes or the different questions being asked. The last but not the least, more important is the reviewer expectations. And this is where actually one or other person blames when they don't get their project shortlisted or when they don't get their project in a final selection recommended. And this is where even we are also struggling for. Right. As far as the submission of project, definitely from the last 20 years, I am also continuously submitting one or other project, but then the success rate is actually very, very low, you know. Nevertheless, actually, I am a co-chairperson for biomanufacturing on functional food under the Bio3 of DBT BIRAC projects. And of course, I will be sharing few of these slides pertaining to that project. Okay. How many projects which we have evaluated, what was the selection criteria, what we means reviewer expect, and how what was the basis of recommendation. So that will give you in general how the project should be prepared and what type of the projects are being funded. Okay. And then more importantly is the um, the receiving the grant. So all this question actually comes to all together. Okay. I will give a little bit in a very brief uh, about, I believe most of the are the students, especially the MSc, and even I seen some of this roundtable discussion, even BSc student also joins. So this is really a common question. Does research is mandatory for the academic institute? And then answer actually is very simple. In India, actually research is not universal mandatory for all academics. However, in higher education in institutes in India, though it is compulsory for a university level for faculty, especially for their promotion purpose, you know. And of course, when if you are doing a PhD in any identified university, identified recognized center, then research is mandatory, you know. When you we look for the research to start with in any organization, what we have, Department of Scientific and Industrial Research certificate, SIR certificate is required for this purpose, right? And then as far as the different funding opportunities concerned in India, to do the research, we have the government agencies, starting with the DST, DBT, ICMR, ICR, CSIR also, UGC, NRF, right? And they basically provide the research funding in the basic as well as the applied research, the healthcare, especially the ICMR, DBT, then engineering and technology, agriculture and environmental sciences. So these are actually the different areas where the funding is actually possible. As far as the eligibility criteria for funding is concerned, now first one is actually for the as a fellowship, ANRA for serve national postdoctoral fellowship. But then this also has you have to submit the project proposal, right? And mostly the science graduate, they have to have the post doctoral degree. So this is a prerequisite. Of course, if it is a engineering or the medicine, then only the postgraduate is enough. Okay. Even thesis submitted candidate also can submit for the NPDF fellowship. I will be giving one of this example. NPDF now recently has been named as the ANRA postdoctoral fellowship. Okay. And you can see the age limit and all. Now, this fellowship basically you need a mentor identified from the research institute or from the university setup. That is actually very much required. Then we have a early career faculty programs, especially those who are postdocs in abroad and wants to come back to India. So for them, like Ramalinga fellowship is there. You know, so this fellowship actually provides some 5 to 10 years of research fellowship as well as the research grant, where one can actually start their research activities in the research or academic institute in India. Okay. So those who are, once again to tell is those who are in abroad, postdoctoral people, and wants to come up, come out, come India and then do the work. Just to continue the same thing once again, the different financial support from the different agencies. So first one is of course is the related to the JRF and SRF. Everyone knows where you get the JRF, where it is a written examination. SRF is for the student or research scholar, those who has some sort of 1 year or 2 years of the research experience. Then postdoctoral, I already told. For women scientists, there is a scheme, actually women scientist scheme. I will be actually giving a example of EY subsequently. And then we go with the different research grant, like the individual investigator grant. Some of these projects are there only the PIA gets, and there is no need of the co-PI or the team member. Then you have the collaborative research projects where you can actually opt within the institute or the different institute also. Similarly, now DBT, DST is coming with this several startup research grant, you know, and this actually is very useful, especially those who have recently joined in regular positions. For them, this startup research grant. International collaborative projects, even last Tuesday also we discussed some of this programs of the DST related to that. Then we have the industry support, industry academia collaborations, innovation, technology commercializations, right? The last two are not related to though they are related to the funding, but for attending the international conference, like a travel guarantee there from the DST or DBT, even from ICMR also. And then last but not the least is the conference grant. Even the MBSI is also giving not the conference grant, but some sort of support. If you see in today's WhatsApp, to organize some event, even MBSI also gives you. So here is actually the different fellowship which I have shown in the right side, which is nothing but uh, you can just see this early career fellowship like Inspire faculty, right? So 5 years or 10 years you get this fellowship, and then that institute actually is supposed to absorb you, not mandatory, but then with a one or other way. So Inspire faculty of a DST or Ramanujan fellowship or Ramlinga Swami Re-entry fellowship. These are actually a very important fellowship come the projects for the postdoc, those who are in abroad, for them to come back to India and start the research in any of this organization. More important actually comes how and where do I get the suitable funding for my research? So this is actually a very important questions which we have already discussed. In India, that way, though our overall research, expenses is comparatively quite low as compared to any other developing countries. If you see either China or even the Brazil also, not the developed countries. But then still the landscape of this funding agency, if you can see, is enormous, right? Where if DRDO or ISRO or DHIR and all, and then even we also have right now the DRDO project on this. As I was telling that there are several international organizations also, they can actually fund your research. NIH grant, very prestigious, or European Union, or European Molecular Biology, British Council is there. UK's another program is there. DAAD is a program also to some extent quite useful from Germany. Indo-German collaborations, again, the DST's program. This JSPS, Japan Science Promotion Society, even we had the collaborative project on the seaweed fermentation, also another international programs. Now all this program which I am referring to are actually for the regular faculty and then to some extent the senior members, not for the student purposes. For the student, as I was telling, the early grant or the NPDF programs and all these things. Okay? Some of this bilateral program also I have enlisted here. Now you see the type of call. Usually you don't get exactly directly call for those bigger projects. First they will ask the letter of intent only or the concept, proof of concept, where you have to actually just give the title, objective, and then basically theme. And once your proof of concept is selected, then you give a full proposal. Okay. And then joint call, whether you are going to submit alone one institute or in a collaboration with others. ANRF actually presently is a very important funding agency, Anusandhan Research Foundation, Anusandhan National Research Foundation, basically the old name of the DST programs, SERB DST program. And you can see there the National Postdoctoral Fellowship, which I was referring, is also described. Prime Minister Early Career Research Grant. This is also very prestigious program, for 2 years after joining the institute up to 60 lakhs, Then IRG, especially the candidate, those who belong to the reserve community, they also get similar program was there before EMEQ, Now this has been renamed or has the different name. And all these programs, the first one, of course, you need the mentor. Second one is for the regular employees. The third one is also for the regular employees. DST has the several programs. The right side, exclusive the DST, the specialized the calls like nanoscience and technology or cognitive science. Few years back, even the stem cell research was there, or sometimes nanotechnology. Yeah, Inspire scheme I already explained, and then faculty fellowship also. Wise Kiran, especially for this woman program, for doing the PhD, Wise Kiran is there, or Wise A and B PDF, if those woman candidate has the PhD program, and for them, these fellowships are fellowship are the in the pharma projects are being funded. Institutional capacity building programs are there for the senior members or those who are HODs, perhaps, like FISC program is there, PERS is there, So these are more for the infrastructure facilities. Okay? Like SATI is there, you see, sophisticated analytical and technical health institutions. Or the Supreme, support for upgradation, preventive repair, and maintenance of the equipment. So these programs are mostly for this maintenance purpose of building the infrastructure facilities. I was talking about the DST's different programs. Similarly, DBT has Department of Biotechnology. Some baby also wants to hear my lecture, I think, but giving little bit trouble also. Dr. Anand, you can hear, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone finds any, if you have the question, they can always ask. So
Sir, there is one question, sir. That for temporary employees, any funding?
Yes,
in the chat box, there is one question.
We will take up that one at the end.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So, student fellowship and then skill development. The DBTs program, you can see the DBTs TWAS is there. No? And even I have right now that CSIR TWAS candidate in my laboratory. Similarly, there is a Corona program or DBT BIRAC program is there. And then again the skill development initiatives, if you have something like the startup activities. Emerging frontiers in biotechnology, on this also you have, or then recently there is a call actually on the Biomanthan, bridging a science, policy and regulation worldwide. This is another program of this DBT. I have to exclusively talk about the Bio3, as I told in my first slide itself, that I am associated with this DBT's programs of DBT BIRAC and Bio3 for functional food. Okay, so that will be more catchy. Please don't ask me to give help to get the project. So that is only the limitation. Similar, like whatever the DST, DBT or the Ministry of MAPI is there, or ICMR at the center level, even some of the state government also has their own funding schemes. Like Karnataka, we have actually this VGST or the VGST or Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, Government of Karnataka's program. And in fact, some of this project actually a couple of months back I evaluated of this one. So these are actually given to the early career research award for the employees, those who have just started their research activity. You can see the duration and then how much is the research grant. No? Vision Group in Science and Technology. This is what actually the abbreviation is. So those participants are online from the Karnataka, they can always apply for this scheme. Okay, and then they also can get the funding and start their research activities. Now, why actually, why do we need the host institute? And I think that question in the chat box is in the direction that this slide should answer. Because if you are actually not an employee, then you need a host institute, right? Or if you are only the what I can say, if you are applying for the PDF fellowship, NPDF or WISE fellowship, so you need the host institute. One thing, another thing, if you are an employee also, institute has to have the DSIR certificate. Okay, then only your projects can be submitted or is considered for the for funding, right? So these are actually important points to be considered, that you can start the research work or you can do the research, but then you can't ask for the financial support from the funding agency unless and otherwise your institute has a DSIR certificate. And then having this document is a mandatory, because that document has to be endorsed by the head of the institute for providing the several of the infrastructure facilities. Like they will actually validate the eligibility, ethical standard, and the scientific viability of the project during initial screening at the institute level. Physical infrastructure, stating that they have the laboratory, sophisticated instrument, because that institute or the university or this college has to have the research center, has to have these facilities, infrastructure facilities. Then only funding agency actually will be happy to give. So such endorsement one has to obtain from that institute. Then only your actually project fulfilling the requirement for submission. Otherwise, your project will be rejected or cannot be considered even for the initial screening. Now you will say what institute is going to get. So institute actually get the overhead cost, 10% or 20%, especially to manage the infrastructure, logistic, then providing the building, providing the other facilities, the water, electricity, and more importantly is the this one, utilization certificate, authenticated utilization certificate. Okay, so this is actually considered as a standard document for the approval which is required. And what you need is that endorsement in their actual format, that institute to take the responsibility of implementation of this project upon financial approval. And that's why I wrote, my institute is my pride. So this is for the purpose where you are going to implement that project that institute has to give you the certificate while submitting the project. And of course the host mentor as well as the supervisor statement also mandatory, that the work which has been proposed or described is possible to execute in his laboratory and all these things. So this is actually a very simple question, where to find a funding calls. Now in the digital era, it is not that difficult. Even the 10th standard student also will be able to find out, but then still some of these specialized magazines are there to tell the call for proposals will be, announcement will be there. And then website of this funding agency, you will see when the project is going to start, when it is going to end, how long that duration of this project, and all this information you can see. Okay. More important, now I am going to the first component. How do I prepare my project? Right. So this is a very important question, because unless and otherwise you prepare the project to the point, logical, you know, and as per the call for proposal, difficult to expect the project. In other words, how do I impress my project reviewer and the committee? Committee means the shortlisting committee or the selection committee or the recommendation committee. So we have to have both these questions in mind before you prepare a venture of expecting the grant or preparing the research proposal, in other words. So you can actually see here the 13 different components are involved. Each and everything is not directly related, but then still, one has to be actually aware about this point number 1 till the 13. What we call is the idea to reviewer, So all this pipeline is very much required for a research project proposal, The research idea is there, what topic you want to choose. Is it literature review? Very important. The objectives, you should have 2 or 3 objectives. I will talk further again. The methodology which you are going to talk, the budget, proposal writing, internal review, submission. Of course, all these are not yours stuff, but till you write the proposal, this is what you have to take up. Then it is undertaken by the funding agency. Internal reviewing is there, submission is there, administrative screening, and all these things. Okay. Yes. Now, before actually writing, we have to actually make sure that whether we are eligible to submit the research, we are eligible for research grant application, because like that program of EMUQ I was telling, or NPDF is there, or EY is there. So the criteria, what are the eligibility criteria, is what I am trying to tell. So that is actually more important, and then based on that one only, the age bar, the qualification, and then theme of this call for proposals and all, But from the project proposal preparation perspective, preparing a strong research project proposal, which involves outlining your research plan, what is the plan, justifying its significance, and demonstrating its feasibility and potentiality, are the funding bodies, because funding agency always question that when we are actually giving you this much money, what you are going to give back to the funding agency. This is what actually the direct or indirect question is being raised, and that's why we have to be actually very clear on while preparing the project proposal. Okay. So actually the goal is to convince the audience that the project is worthwhile, because each and every project cannot be funded. Each and every idea also cannot be funded. Then it should be original. It should not be that just which you have submitted 5 years back or 10 years back, and then again you go on making that. Or so on the parallel line, somebody has prepared on that aspect, and then you also wants to do, And then it should be manageable also, with reference to that within a 2 years or 3 year time frame, you will be able to achieve those objectives. The budget, more importantly, if it is just NPDF, whatever the fixed budget is there. Regular call for project is also there, 50 or 60 lakhs. Usually the projects with the smaller budgets, they consider it better for funding. Of course, the resources, whether you have the analytical facilities, the good manufacturing practices, the microbiology laboratory, all these things actually is also taken in consideration, especially the research institute, which are where they are the routine R&D activities. So they usually will have all these resources for implementation of projects. So that points really do not come in a picture. But if the project is submitted, suppose from some postgraduates, right? And then that is actually the matter sometimes. I will directly talk about the key components of the research proposal. Okay. So while the format can vary, as I told you before, no, the DST's format will be a little bit different, DBTs will be different, ICMR will be different, but the main points which they ask is all as below, like the title of the project, that is a common for all. So one should write the concise, descriptive, informative title that reflects the core of your study, right? Not to give too much a decorative title or the fancy title, but the title which actually gives the overall meaning is important. Then, of course, like our manuscript or the research papers, the abstract or the executive summary, especially in the DBT's online format, you will see it has to be within 500 words. You write longer than that, then either beginning words or last one will get deleted automatically. So the abstract, then introduction, more important. To introduce the general topic, everyone knows how to write this kind of thing. Then establish a current state knowledge through the brief literature review. Identify the problem statement, and then the specific gap. This is actually very important again. And then rational. So why explain why this gap is important to fill. So what we are actually going to address through our research project with reference to the existing literature or the work done, so that funding agency or reviewer also understand that funding this project is really worthwhile, so that some new information or data is going to come up. Otherwise, if it is going on the in a similar or parallel line, so may not be that much catchy for the reviewer to give you very good what I can say, good marks. Okay. Key components I already told. So aim and objectives. The broad goal of this project, we should write what is the aim of this overall aim of this project. Which should be the distinct from your title and then objective. And then as far as the objective is concerned, depends on the how many objectives you are going to actually address. Right. So if it is only 2 years project and you go on writing some 4 or 5 objectives, then definitely it don't give any meaning. Right. Like that way. The specific measurable steps we take to achieve the aim, and these often align with our research question and then hypothesis. Next is the literature review, very important component. And in literature review, always we have the national review and international literature, and then we have to actually summarize those information to what extent people have done. Research design and methodology is another important component, because what is the methodology you are going to follow, what the research design, and now most of this biological experiment means the statistical tools actually become very, very important. And now some of this researcher, I see even the AI ML tool also they are incorporating. And of course, MBSI, in one or other meetings we have seen, people are talking with the use of AI ML in the biology and microbiology and all these things. Research design, the specify whether the study is a qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. That is also another important. And then data collections, whether you are going to have a survey or interviews or experimental archival research. So usually survey type of the projects, in a biology, they are actually not much encouraging, because that is actually the preliminary information, in other words. Yes. Then the sampling, which type of the sampling you are, whether it is the study population, what is the size of the sampling, that is actually more important, sampling and what is the statistical method you are going to follow for the sampling procedure. Then data analysis also. Ethical consideration, while actually submitting most of this project, we actually ensure the ethical certificates are actually included. And if you are actually doing, suppose human studies, clinical trial, then taking the informed consent or the maintaining the confidentiality, all these things has to be taken care. Potential limitation or the pitfalls also. Some of this pro pharma, they actually ask, no, if the given methodology do not work, what is the alternative? Like this way. Work plan. given with the Gantt chart, the 6 monthly program or the every 6 monthly program, what you are going to do exactly, and how that activities first 6 months are connected with the second 6 months, second 6 months, how they are connected with the third 6 months, and all these things. Budget and resources, I already explained that one should have actually the justifiable minimum budget, then ensuring that the equipments are again the minimum, because nowadays actually funding agency, not they have stopped the non-recurring part. But then some of this instrument will be already available with those research institute or the universities. So they actually discourages. Even we also actually minimize to consider the equipments for those projects. Then significance and expected outcome, which I already told that when funding agency actually expect that when you are being funded with a 70-80 lakhs or 1 crore, what is the actually output you are going to give, so that part. And then last one is after references and then bibliography, what are the references you have quoted about that. Now I am coming exactly with reference to this by 3 DBT BIORAC project, which was actually there was a call sometimes in last April and May, and then June, July was the last date to submit the project. Okay. And broad area of support in the functional food was on 3 aspects. One is the functional food
Sir,
for
before we, hello, sir. Before
yes,
we start the DBT BIREC joint call proposal, there are some 2 to 3 questions in chat box. One is there any specific research grant for Ayush or Ayurveda research
yes,
from
yes,
Dr. Umesh?
yes,
And other question is, are there any grant or financial support for a new innovation by an independent researcher?
yes.
And can we make MOU with other institution to access?
Yeah, exactly. So first question, as you told, yes, Ayush Ministry itself actually is funding several of this project, and even in CFTRI we have projects funded by the Ayush. You can always have a free hand to collaborate with other organizations for in-depth studies or the better studies, or one or other studies. Like we do not have, suppose now clinical experiment permission in CFTRI. So we collaborate with Mysore Medical College or JSS Medical College, right? So that one is possible. If you suppose do not have the fermentation facility, so you can actually go with some private industries and all these things. And this is what actually the BIRAC talks about that. Okay. Now why I am telling this, I hope that is okay. I can come back to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes. Now I am giving more example where I am associated with and how actually the funding agency look your project. Now in this broad area of support, they have actually given only these 3 concepts or the broad areas. One is the functional food for chronic and hard managed disorder. So if your project is falling, addressing or studying to manage this disorder, through immune modulation or gut microbiome, then only it will be shortlisted. Okay. Similarly, the functional food for the cognitive function and mental well-being. And then third one was the food formulation for involved neural metabolism, mitochondrial peroxisome. So this terminologies, whatever is described, the work, if it is emphasized or work plan is given on this broad area, then only your project will be shortlisted in initial screening. I hope I am clear. Now in this call, we had actually 2 components. One is the discovery and another one was the bridging the gap. Okay, so discovery was actually what we have technology readiness level of 3 to 5, the initial work, and has to be funded only for a research purpose. This bridging the gap actually was with the industry orientation, where you have already the proof of concept, the product developed, and wants to do a scale up study, do the clinical trial. Then your project will fall under this the second category, which is with a little bit higher funding, 2 to 5 crores or 1 to 3 crores and all. The first one, 50 lakhs to 1.5 crores. Okay. Now this actually call is over, and presently we are recommending the project, and then you will say what is the purpose. But we are going to, means funding agency is going to call again. May not be on the same broad areas, but on the similar broad area when shortly. Okay. Now, what was actually once investigator, the project proposals were call for proposal was there. Several projects came. 200 projects in the first category. Another category is 60 projects. Okay, number also I can tell. Please don't go and complain about me to the DBT, otherwise they will remove me from the committee. Now this is actually this, what was the screening criteria was followed. So you see, first, once you see the application, we see that align with the scope of the call, as specified in the call document. So I told in the previous slide, whether this first three, how to manage disorder or mental well-being or metabolism, these things, is described or aligned with that or not. Then only that project will be considered in the shortlisting. Plus, completeness of the proposal. Completeness of proposal means what? The institutional approval, PI's signature, their biodata. Then if the project has the ethical studies, then ethical certificate and all these things. Okay. Plus novelty of the proposed work, whether work has really a novelty or not, then only it was actually considered. Because if it is a routine work already done, there is nothing new information, can be rejected also if you have first two also. Plus expected outcome. Okay, because by3 concept is basically what the DBT is going to know, what you are going to give to the funding agency, and those outcome can be commercialized. That is actually the theme. So due to that reason, that product which you are developing, investigating, or studying has a commercial potential or not. If you are developing any probiotics, whether it will be commercialized or not, then only that project can be considered. Plus, expertise, a track record of the PA and co-PA, and even last time also we were talking with reference to having some senior member, having the person who has experience, expertise in that area is also important or matters. Okay, if you are just only recently joined faculty and you keep another member, co-PI also who is also new, and then no, becomes difficult to make them to committee to believe them. Okay, plus quality and relevance of a preliminary data. So you have to have the lead available on that aspect, that you have carried out some studies so that you are going to take up the subsequent analysis, subsequent innovation, subsequent modification of that, subsequent scale-up studies. Then your project is stronger. Now, the next point is with relation to the very specific information was asked about the technology readiness level. And this technology readiness level, as we have, was 3 to 5. So whether the initial basic studies are available or not. Only you do not have even the basic studies also, and you are waiting submitting for the byline, then it is not possible. Then adequacy of the institutional infrastructure also, because that institute has to have the sufficient facilities also to take up that work. So this is what actually the institutional infrastructure means. Okay. In next 10 minutes, I will try to finish it so that we can take some questions, and then we finish it within 9. So meanwhile, the participants can actually keep their questions ready. Shortlisting criteria and expert opinion, what actually you expect. So why I am actually telling is, I previously told that this were actually the criteria to the short list. Okay. And DBT has given us this kind of the pro forma to fill and tell about that project. So that's why peer reviews form. So you write the title of the project, your name, if you want to give, then scientific track record of the team and competency. So this was one of this criteria. Then you see the next one, proposal novel and driven by the sound hypothesis. Okay. So we just read the project and then say, yes, it is there, not there, and all these things. Then work plan, how the work plan actually is. I will go a little bit faster. Then deliverable, and timeline, whether it is realistic or it is just a, what we can superficial it is written. Then major strength and weakness of the proposal. So we have to actually tell even that also. What do we feel? And then we have to actually rate this project, whether it is a good, very good, and this thing. So actually in the scale of 1 to 10, the project which actually got 5 and above, with this expert's opinion, the experts comprising for each project 2 or 3 people were given, and then those experts, they fill this peer review form, and those projects which were actually obtained 5 and above, were discussed in the committee, and then based on that, they were shortlisted, and after shortlisting, the PAI was called for for the presentation. Okay. Your screen sharing, what happened? Yes. Now I will quickly go with reference to few of our projects which recently submitted. So this is actually the project which we submitted from our lab, a week back, because there was a call for proposal. Now most of these projects are submitted under the call for proposal. Please make sure that one. If there is actually open call throughout the year, you can submit, then that is not the issue. But then most of this, funding agency, they will specify when to call and what is the topic. Okay. So this one actually under ICMR get foundation on the elimination of anemia. This project was actually submitted. Under the you can see actually here development of aspirational nutrient dense food product for adults and girl and women reproductive age. Okay, and I am actually the PI of this project, which if it is get funded, then I will get somewhere close to the 1 crore rupees. In other words. So this is actually my overall team. You see, the 7-8 people are there. From CFTRA itself, we are 2 people. Then we have actually the one colleague from NIN because it is related to nutrition, right? Then we have one colleague actually from this Nehu University also. And then Dr. Ravi Kumar from the Welltech University, Chennai. He is actually the major player of this project, to tell you frankly. And we have actually the industry partner because this project actually we are going to develop a product and that will be actually given to the people, and then this elimination of anemia, which actually will be described. So with the product development in CFTRI, the characterization in the Welltech University in collaboration with the NIN, and then the scale up will be done by the university. And then for this project, we have actually one international collaboration. You see, Dr. Poonam Singh. Okay. And these are actually the 3 objectives. The project is only for the 2 years, but we are actually hopeful. And what is actually our strategy of the workflow is described here, that we are going to actually add the amla, vitamin C and B12 also, and then see in the millet extract that will have a rich fermented millet powder will be useful for eliminating the malaria. And what is actually the mechanism is described here. And why I have to actually emphasize this one, because such mechanistic procedure actually funding agency will be expecting. Otherwise, they're difficult. Just to tell, I am itself is a co-PI in another project from the institute, and I believe some 12 or 13 projects are submitted only from CFTRI. So you can actually make out how many projects must have submitted from the India. Definitely 200, 300. And they are not going to give more than 20 or 30. Okay. Maximum 50 perhaps. Not more than that. So you can actually see the selection ratio, how the challenging is. Okay. So how this hypothesis is going to work, especially with relation to the supplementation of vitamin B12 or the folate, that actually is described here, which when they will call for a project presentation, we may have to be clear with our hypothesis. Okay, and this is actually the work plan of that project. Now I go with the second example. So this Dr. Anne Catherine is actually my PhD student, and now she was a PhD student. She did PhD under my guidance, and now she is a faculty at JSS. And then she submitted a project under India Alliance DBT Welcome Trust. Okay, all the details are here. And in this call for project or in the project, there is so-called the supervisor should not be the PhD guide, but PhD guide can be a mentor, and that's why my name you can actually see here in the right side up, okay, along with our other colleague from this institute. And so she is a faculty there, but she has this project on the topic which is written there, on the fortified probiotics, and this you can see the other all the details are described there. The early fellowship and who can submit also one can actually see the student in a final year PhD with maximum 4 years or postdoc research. So what actually you get, you will plus the research grant. Okay. And you can see the last point, the PhD guide cannot be the supervisor also, like this way. This is another story or the example which I am presenting. So Aditi just 2 years back, she completed PhD under me, and now she is actually with a postdoc or under the Women Scientist Scheme, DBT Biocare, at DBT Biocare, you can see here the project title also in IAC Bangalore. Okay. So this is another story which I am actually explaining. So both this, the previous project, see they need the supervisor. This project actually need the mentor for this purpose. And you can actually see the topic and then eligibility criteria and all these things actually is described here, you know. So she actually gave me a small summary how to avail, and then she described her roadmap. So starting with the was the call and all these things, and after selection and all these things are described here. The third one actually I will tell Dr. Surya Chandra Rao, who is actually postdoc at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University in USA. And he was actually, after finishing PhD with me, he was a NPDF at IAC again. Okay. And this fellowship is okay for the 2 years now. NPDF is called as ANRF, what I was trying to tell. Okay. And then you need the mentor. Okay. You see here, Dr. Narendra Kumar Ramanan was the mentor for him there. And then after completing this tenure, actually he went for a postdoc again to US and all these things. So you see the topic which they describe actually is very important, you know, especially if you submit the project from IAC, the chances of getting is more. Or people also tells, you know, that most of the project that goes to the IIC or IITs or the central university. The reason is perhaps that the objectives, the depth they see, and then chances of getting the output, you know, is more or much more brighter, in other words. So you see the objectives also, which actually becomes a difficulty in a little bit a smaller organization to achieve this one. But he has followed all this, the advanced methodologies of CRISPR-Cas9, and then this studying the in-depth studies on the neurons and all these things. Okay. So with this, I actually thank MBSI. I know that time is already close to 9. Of course, the MBSI is the lot. I am actually the life member from almost last 25, 30 years, you know, and I am actually the first fellow also of MBSI. So that's why I thought I should acknowledge this one, or, you know, pay the gratitude to the MBSI. So this was actually the fellow award was given in a first conference in Nagpur in 2022. Yes. And before that, actually, during the COVID time, especially, you know, in 19 to 20, I actually got this senior scientist award at a national level, you know, and this is what I thought. So this is actually my team, you know, who are actually are doing either the PhDs or the MSc. The left side girls mostly are their dissertation students, but the right side those who are sitting, and then we have also one student from Africa who is doing actually, she's a postdoc, the CSIR TWAS fellow, you know, from Cameroon. She's also there. So with this, thank you very much. I will be actually very happy to answer few of this question if you have any.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is a question from Ashish Singh. ICMR placing greater emphasis on NIRF ranking. How can faculty at private university prepare research proposal? Additionally, considering our limited instrumental infrastructure, should we collaborate with government institution?
Yes, of course, you
Dr.
are.
Ashish Singh.
Everyone actually is more welcome to collaborate with other organizations, because finally funding agency actually looks the output. They are not no concerned with the difficulty or challenges which you are facing, or the what are the problems are there in your organization, but they want the output concise and then sure output, right? So if we can actually address those questions, collaborate with a better organization, or do some part of work in other institute or outsource, not at all issue. Now the sequencing NGS, we are doing actually outside, right? Ethical clearance we have to do outside only, you know. Or NMR analysis there, or HRMS is there, you have to do outside only. But if you can collaborate now, actually there are such a few calls. If you have in a collaboration, the chances are more. And to tell you, actually, I didn't include that. Somehow we have actually under the twinning program of Northeast, 8 institutes, 4 crores project. Just now we submitted all the documents. We are waiting for the grant. I hope it comes. That is related to the developing a different soya products. from this product development till the preclinical trials. Very big project actually, that one. Yes.
Sir,
Thank
here,
you so much, sir.
Bolo.
hello.
Very nice, Prakash.
Thank you, madam.
And also, I very happy to see Surya Chandran. Now
Yes,
is
yes.
he in USA?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
From last 4 years, I think.
Oh, wonderful. You just share his number with
Yeah,
me.
definitely, madam.
Wonderful.
Any other question?
गोपाल सर का क्वेश्चन है, हाउ डू यू चेक ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड एंड कॉम्पिटेंसी ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेटर?
Yeah, when actually we give the biodata, then the more relevant publications. Then if it is the project is related to the product development, whether he has developed such technologies or not, the patent filed, the process developed demonstrations, right? Where on that relevant area, so that itself will be able to tell. Not a very difficult question, not a very difficult actually to identify and see, And that's why actually some of these people, they actually ensure that one of the senior member is there in their project who has actually very good track record, and then that project actually becomes actually challenging to give a, what I can say, the negative opinion by the committee also. Not that the committee will be afraid of a well-known researcher, but then no, if they have really the sound project and then capability, of course, along with the institutional reputation, this also matters. It doesn't mean that if your institute is new, you should not do the research or should not submit. But what I'm trying to tell you is, making the funding agency to believe or to impress the reviewer, right? And as I told, actually out of 200, we just funded only 30 projects. Even my own project actually got rejected in a initial screening because the theme which was called, it was not fitting. And when we give the conflict of interest, so we supposed not to be there. I suppose not to be there in my the projects associated from my institute also, even in the initial screening or during the presentation or any of this way. So we actually give the declaration and then conflict of interest so that there is no bias judgment or any other things. Yes. So getting project, yes, is challenging, but then equally handling also, and then showing the positive output, everything,
Sir, tell us briefly about the Star College scheme, whether it is existing or government has terminated that scheme.
Star Colleges scheme, actually I am not much aware somehow because that is with reference to the universities, right? Say UGC set up activities,
Because FIST, you have mentioned FIST. FIST scheme is for college, that is given for institution, not for investigator.
Yes.
FIST and PERS is for institution, not for investigator. Same way, initially it was a Star College scheme by DBT. I think so. I don't know what is the status nowadays, whether they are giving fund for a Star College scheme or not.
No, not much actually aware. Since these are actually pertaining to only the universities, right? University setup. Like for CSIR project, we are not eligible. CSIR lab is not eligible to submit for the CSIR. Like this way, like we had the Kothari Fellowship of UGC. So that project cannot be implemented in CSIR laboratories.
Yes.
Like this way, the STAR also has those kind of this program. So that is what that eligibility criteria one has to find out, and then some of this call for proposal or scheme will be changing, updating, upgrading. So that is also another important aspect. So we have to be actually sure, not the 10 years old project taking out and trying to get the funding.
Yes, Kothari has also been, I think, terminated that scheme. Or
Yes.
is it?
No, it is not there. Kothari is not there. Then Rajiv Gandhi Fellowship was there. That is not there. Several of these.
Also, I think Star College is now operational one.
Yeah, I think those who
Star
are
College
from the
scheme. It
colleges.
is active now.
Okay. Yes. So I think those who are lecturer in this among the audience, they can actually see which are actually suitable for them, because then competition will be less. Okay, or it will be more focused with their activities, right? Like early start grant is there, or Ramlinga fellowship, which I was explaining, and all these things. Okay. Rohini Srivastava, sir, I was praying for DBT Biocare. I have completed. Yeah, but I am unable to see that question actually. If somebody can read for me, then I can answer.
Uh, Sir, I was preparing for DBT Biocare.
Okay.
I have completed pilot study, and based on that, I am working on my proposal for next year call.
Yes.
So in that, up to what extent should I mention about the completion of my work? Like, is it correct to mention completed my pilot study and need to implement that on large scale?
Yeah, exactly. That will be actually very good proof of concept with a very good lead available. So such projects actually are highly encouraged, which are actually the deliverable is fixed, right? So of course it should go to the right reviewers also, and then they should actually give some importance, because sometimes what happens, there will be the other projects which will actually equally competent. So become sometimes in the either in the total grant to fund or total number of projects to be funded, so that becomes actually challenging sometimes, but then still good project somewhere somehow it will get clicked, and then definitely has its own advantages. If a call for proposal is there from our stream by E3 on functional food, please submit. I don't assure you that I will help to get the grant, but at least I can actually help how the good project can be submitted and all. Okay, then thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you.
think that our National President, Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, is present here.
Please, please, please.
I would like to request our National President to conclude this session. Hello. Are you
Deshmukh.
there, sir?
Yes, Deshmukh sir.
Okay, no, not now. So, Anand Dabe, sir, you can conclude now this.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prakash sir, to giving a really nice information about the research grant proposal and as well as a reviewer. Now, the whatever the discussion that we did from last 2 weeks, last week as well as today, really, I think 37 to Vipranshu sir, I think 40 participants were there today.
Today, 45,
right? 40,
sir.
yes,
Today,
45. Yes. Yes, really, this is very good. And thank you so much, Prakash sir, for giving us such a nice information about the this reviewer as well as the research grant proposal. Fine. So again, thank you so much, everyone, to join over here today. Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
So,
sir.
Prakash Salami, sir, with your permission, may I share your email ID to the participants?
Yes, of course. My email ID already is there, and then I have the full profile also in the Google also you can actually get. Alicia, I already told that I am from long time actually member of MBSI. Right. Thank you, everyone. I can log up now.
Yeah, sir.
Thank you so
much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Majid, sir. After a long time, I have seen.
Yes. I was quite busy, so that's why I was not able to
Thank you,
join.
sir, for joining today.
Thank you, sir.